Welcome to Unhinged Outbursts, the YouTube exclusive podcast hosted by William Cannoli.
Alright, Fernando, so thank you for being here. You're going to be the first guest on this show. So, anybody who's a fan of Angels baseball, you probably recognize this voice, or maybe this face. I'm sure you've heard of him at a minimum. But today we're not talking about sports, and in fact, we're going to do something very random. So, I haven't let Fernando in on this topic yet because I did not want him to form any pre-opinions. Basically, here's how this is going to work. So, the name of this episode is Moral Standings. I'm going to pitch some scenarios at you, alright? You're playing the role of God. Now, if that's blasphemous, I apologize. But what's going to happen is I'm going to say, so, Fernando, let's say there's a person and we are actually determining whether they go to heaven or hell or purgatory.
That's a very, very large responsibility.
Yeah, it is. And I'm going to be like, all right, so you have a single mother who decided to jaywalk.
Hell immediately. Special place in hell right next to Hitler, actually.
Okay, but no, seriously, we're gonna assign points. So at the end of the person's life, every single action adds up. So that way they can actually be redeemed or not, right? So I'd say, so Fernando, single mother's jaywalking. It's a crime, but it's really not that big of a crime. But she is the only person that her kid's depending on. You know, what would you rate it? And like, we'll say, for example, regular jaywalking would be like -2 points, right? Well, then in this scenario, okay, it's a little bit worse, so -5, all right? So I think the best, we're going to establish kind of a graph, all right? One single action, the best, highest positive, let's say plus 1,000 life points, is you donate to charity. You do it anonymously. It's not a tax write-off. You are just legitimately helping a good charity that you know is actually going to donate. The worst thing you can do, -1,000, is to take somebody's life. All right? So that's the basis.
Okay.
Are you ready to be God?
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: do you think that if I stand in front of God one day on my judgment day, He's going to be like, "You played me in this hypothetical situation, -40 points"? Like I'm just going to lose points by default? Because if that's the case, I don't know, man. You might want to have Josh on this one.
I think if anything, he'd look more on me than on you for that.
That's fair. Okay. You know what? I'm okay with that.
All right. Let's say you're at the beach, you're at a pool somewhere. This is actually a little closer to home for me because I went through something like this, but you see somebody drowning. All right. So you, again, are God, all right? I'm going to pitch the scenario. Person A is drowning. Person B is the only person around, the only one that can have an influence on the outcome of this, all right? Person B, let's say first scenario here, does nothing because they know they're not a great swimmer. They're probably going to end up drowning as well, or they're just going to make it worse and ruin any chance for person A. What happens to person B?
I think, see, that's so tough. If person B, because person A is the one drowning, you said, right?
Correct.
Okay. Was person B around the whole time?
Start to finish.
Okay. I think you have to do it. I think, especially, here's the thing, man. If you can be in a situation where you could potentially save the other person, maybe it's just me. I 100% go for it. Now, I had a situation similar happen in a swimming pool myself where the person who I was dating at the time, her niece fell in on a tricycle.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't even a thought in my mind. I was inside, but it was like one of those situations where, like, you know, inside you can still see the pool, right? I was a step or two in. Heard the little boy that was outside the pool freak out. And as soon as you hear a splash and a freak out, I mean, you know, you immediately know what's happening. Human instinct kind of kicks in.
Right.
Yes, I am. I'm not going to say I'm a strong swimmer, but, you know, I used to work at SeaWorld. You know that. And I wanted to be an animal trainer So you would assume that I had enough experience in swimming where I would have felt comfortable getting in the water with a dolphin or a killer whale. So I'm proficient enough of a swimmer where I wouldn't have been scared. But like I'm playing scenarios in my personal mind, there isn't too much that would stop me from trying to save somebody. And I mean, I had no attachment to this person's niece at all. I mean, obviously, besides the fact that they're in the family, but this was like the first time, maybe the second time that I'd met the little girl. But that doesn't change the fact that, like, hey, I had the ability to, save someone's life. It's so tough
But see,
because
again, because even the situation that you're saying is that you did have the ability.
I did.
So I think that also
So
changes.
this person doesn't have the ability directly.
They're not confident. It's somebody their same size. It's not somebody who's an
Okay,
infant or
okay.
anything like that. And so the question is like, so it sounds like you think they deserve negative points for not helping, right?
It's tough. I'm not going to say a ton of negative points, but it's
But
just
it
more
has to be
like
negative.
a little bit. We're talking like, like 10, 20 points because you got to try.
Okay. So, adding on to that, say it's your brother, or they're brothers, and person A
Yep.
is like 400 pounds, and person B knows there ain't no fucking way in hell. All right. Now the mother is going to be devastated about the loss of person A, but person B thinks about it for a second and is like, well, who's going to be around to help my mom? There's nobody else in the picture. Has to be me. If I jump in and also die, right? Now, how do they get positive or negative on that?
Positive there for trying to protect the mom, yes. I mean, because it's so crazy when like these kind of events happen. Um, because like what's going on in your subconscious is just raging. You know what I mean? It's never
Yeah.
like as simple as, oh, I'm gonna go in and save the person or not. Your brain's going through everything. I mean, you got person A's life flashing before their eyes, like shit, I'm never gonna eat a weird system again. You have personal that's a joke from another episode that you did, the fast food thing. But then you got person B like, well, what about my mom? Like, is my mom gonna be devastated? My grandma just died. Like, whatever the case is, you know what I mean? Like, can mom handle that kind of thing because of what's already happened with whatever A B C D. So I guess positive points for that because you are being considerate of another person.
But does the positive points for trying to protect the mom outweigh not trying to help?
I think in that situation, it really is just a catch-22 because you either go. Here's the case: you either go there and you save the other person, or you go in there and you both die. And
Right.
at that point, I mean, did you just fuck yourself? You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it's like, well, now forget about your mom dealing with one loss. It's now two losses at the same time.
Yep.
Mom, dad, grandma, everyone's got to deal with two losses. But also, you know, I don't know. You
But
look at the
that's the thing.
Transformers ride. Look at the Transformers ride at Universal. Cowards run, heroes fight. And then Optimus Prime, Optimus Prime decides to kill Megatron. Cowards run, heroes fight.
All right. But that's the point, though, is that even in a catch-22, you have to decide. Now, it's only for this podcast and it's meaningless, but you still got to
Of course,
decide.
of course.
So, that person in that scenario doesn't help, lets his brother drown because he's thinking about his mom, genuinely, legitimately, not selfishly, he's thinking about his mom, and now he's at the gates. Are you booting his ass?
I'll give him. I'm going to give him a pass on that one, I guess. You know what I mean? Because it's not direct murder. It's not
Right.
manslaughter.
Right.
It's not. It's just maybe you could have done something, maybe you didn't. But it's like you didn't directly. Now, if it's like, hey, brothers asking for help, whatever, has got the hand out, and you freaking like Scar and Mufasa him, you kick him down like Sparta. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a one-way ticket to hell. But yeah, this isn't a direct thing, so.
Yeah, but that's the whole philosophy behind it, is that people say if you do nothing, that is just as bad. And I don't
I don't see it
necessarily
that way.
agree with that. But yeah, it's interesting. All right, let's try to make
Yeah, I don't see it like that.
let's try to make it a little more positive and get out of the dark side of it. All right, so it says the best thing a person can do is unselfishly donate to a charity that they did research in and they know is a legitimate charity that's not just skimming all the funds like so many charities around the world. All right, so that's the best they could do. All right, but now let's say, for example, a little more specific, Kanye West decides to donate, a bunch to a Jewish charity after his bullshit speeches that he gives. And he's clearly only doing it for the clout. He doesn't give a shit about the charity. He has no idea. If he, let's say you started the Fernando Mendez Jewish community, he just donates to you, has no idea if you're a scam artist, nothing, right? But yeah, he just donates blindly to anybody, has no idea. Does that take away the good that is being done?
I think that more so falls on the philosophy of the charity. So I get asked all the time because, like, there'll be like a less fortunate person, and like I'll give them like $5, and I've been asked by like women before, like on a date, even, like, oh well, what if that person's just gonna go buy alcohol with it? And I'm just like, who cares? Like at the end of the day, you had the right mentality of helping somebody today. If I give someone $5 and they use it to buy booze, okay, well, is it cold outside? What if it's cold outside and the booze is what makes them warm? I mean, alcohol does make you warm, so it's the same kind of mindset with me. It's like helping is helping. And there's some people who do things for well intentioned, and some people who don't. I mean, like I'm not patting myself on the back, but my whole thing about like having my podcast for 3 years now has always been, hey, we're going to be part of the community. When we first started, we donated meals to minor league players because minor league players are making $12,000 a year. Yeah, we publicized it because that's what we need to do because we're getting donations from our audience. We didn't do anything public like the Inland Empire 66ers. This year, we donated backpacks to needy kids, and we wanted the 66ers to get involved, and they would only get involved if we got the news involved. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. And they're like, well, we're only getting involved if you guys get the news. And it's like,
Wow.
no, we're not making a show of this. Like, do you guys want to help or not? And we told them, like, you guys don't even need to give anything. Just bring your goddamn mascot out here, shake some kids' hands, hug some kids, take some photos, and boom, the Inland Empire 66ers were involved. Did they do anything? No. Did they give any money or backpacks? No. We just wanted the name. But we didn't want to get the news involved. So it's like, it really depends on the person's intentions. Are you doing it just for clout? Are you doing it because you said something anti-Semitic and now you want people to not think that you hate Jewish people? People do that stuff all the time. So if you do it with that kind of intention, yeah, plus 500. Now, if you do it because you truly have that spot in your heart, that's when you're getting to like plus 1,000. You researched the right charity. You did it for the right reasons.
So next question is kind of the sum of two people's lives, all right? One person was rude all the time. They never did any actual crime, all right? But any chance to make somebody else's life miserable, whether it's just answering a spam call and just being a dick on the phone, any and every opportunity intentionally.
I don't know, dude. Answering a spam call, that's like plus 1,000. F those people.
Okay. Maybe in today, but like let's say back in the 90s where it's just some mom trying to pay bills and that's the shitty job that she can get. Nowadays with all the actual scams and robots, yeah, it's a little different story. But
yeah, I was gonna say, actually, you can distract them for 15 minutes so they don't get your grandma's credit card insurance, and I mean it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely agreed there. All right, but the point is, just rude to anybody in fast food, waiter, every single chance they get, piece of shit. But secretly, they were also donating to Children's Hospital, right? Do you give that person a higher score than somebody who lived their life great every day and then freaked out when they found, their cheating partner and kills the freaking guy they're cheating with? Who ranks higher on a day-to-day asshole who is still doing good or a saint until one slip up that they genuinely regret for the rest of their life?
I mean, here's the thing. You can be the best person in the world and have that kind of slip up. But the problem is, like, no matter which way you slice and dice it, you still killed somebody. I still think the person who, was kind of grumpy, hated their job, hated their life, whatever. But, secretly at least always tried because, they did this stuff on the side. I mean, it is what it is. We all deal with things differently. We all deal with daily angers differently. I'm sure there's some days where, your girlfriend would be like, oh, William's kind of a dick today. And I mean, I'm sure there's days where my girlfriend would say the same thing. We all have those bad days and we all unfortunately cope with things differently, you know. But there's just, in my opinion, really no excuse for killing somebody, especially for something like cheating. I mean, I've always told myself, if my spouse, partner, whatever, wife, whatever the situation is, cheats on me, that says a lot more about them and me than it says about the other person. For all you know, this other person might not know. It might not be this dude's fault that, your girlfriend slept with him because he didn't know. He thought that she was just some random, girl on, Tinder, whatever. At the grocery store, he hit on her and she was like, hey, yeah, I'm all in. Is that his fault? Now, if he knew the whole time, well, then that's maybe when you get in that conversation. But, there's a lot of people who cheat on the other and they don't know. It's a one-night stand. They have no idea. So, I don't know. I think right there you're talking about two people who are both extremely faulted in different ways. One person maybe just taking out their daily frustrations, but trying to make up for it, get positive juju points because they know that they were a jerk to that dude at McDonald's who accidentally put onions on their burger. And then they went there and like, I hope you get Lou Gehrig's disease, you son of a bitch. You put onions in my burger. And then like, Judy cheated on me with Joey over here. Let me boom, boom, boom. It's not his fault. He didn't know. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like I said, no matter which way you slice it or dice it, man. I mean, you still killed somebody for, let alone something so stupid like getting cheated on. If like your partner cheats on you, then I mean, I guarantee you, there's definitely someone out there who's a better potential partner. I mean, look at our parents. Our parents have all been together for a long time.
Whoa, hold on now. We got no swinging going on over here.
No. That's what I'm saying. I mean, our parents.
You said they've all been together.
Yeah, no. I mean, your parents being an entity, my parents being an entity. I mean, they've all been together, our lives.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you mean to tell me that, our parents have never looked at another person and been like, that's an attractive person? Like, that's a natural thing. You're allowed to look at somebody. I mean, what do people always say? Like, you can look at the menu, you just can't order from the menu. So it's like, that's just kind of human instinct. But it's like, the second where like your partner is cheating on you, then I mean, what's the point?
I prefer the expression, it doesn't matter what turns on the car as long as it parks in the right garage.
I mean, hey, that works too. It boils down to, I'm sure everyone who has been in a long-term relationship has looked at, whatever. My dad loves Scarlett Johansson. That's probably a very common celebrity crush for dudes in their 50s. Scarlett Johansson, be like, hey, that's a pretty girl. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's when, you got like your situation where, homie, one of them ordered from the menu. Or they didn't park at the right garage in your hypothetical situation.
Okay. So I think boil it down here. Let's say, so last scenario. So there's a doctor. He has a patient. The patient died in a motorcycle crash. The only thing that affected was his brain. All other parts of the body is working perfectly. He said, do not take my organs. I am not an organ donor. They belong to me even in death. Meanwhile, literally in the next room, in the next bed, is an 18-year-old kid who's having liver failure or kidney failure or every failure, even gallbladder. Gallbladder, we'll throw that in there for fun. Does he get negative points for not taking the organs and giving them to the person?
No, you gotta honor the person's wishes. Didn't want their organs to be donated, and like that gets like that whole like conspiracy. I don't know if you ever heard it, like where like sometimes like they'll let somebody die because they're an organ donor, and there's like a list of like, hey, William, if you die today, you can help 3 people. Well, William's not doing it too hot. There's a chance that if he comes out of this, he's just going to be a potato. So they're like, oh, we're just going to pull the plug, and because you're an organ donor, they're going to take whatever, your liver, your heart, and your gallbladder. So I mean, I wouldn't give the doctor a negative point. You're honoring somebody's wishes. I mean, yeah, that 18-year-old can probably get organs from somebody else. I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer, but I mean, there's tons of people who are organ donors. But yeah, I'm sure you've heard that conspiracy too. People talk about it like all the time.
I haven't heard it as a conspiracy theory, but I've heard of that exact situation happening. Okay, so let's expand on that though. Let's say the dude that died is a Hell's Angel. He is notoriously known for not doing good, and the only reason he's not an organ donor and he wants everyone to know it is because he wants to make sure no one can be helped. He's literally the worst case scenario. Can you still justify them listening to the wishes, even if it's a notorious bad person?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you do that and it turns out, like the person's family like has proof, like they look at their ID and it doesn't say donor, because I mean, on the state of California it says donor or not. Um, you can lose your medical license, so
That's
you
true.
still might not want to do that.
Yeah.
But in this hypothetical situation where, like, let's just say they're not going to find out, now I'm screwing the Hell's Angel person over. I don't care. I'll lose my medical license for that to help, little Jimmy over here who, is an 18-year-old kid just getting started, fresh out of high school, wants to go to college to whatever,
We'll say drafted by the NBA.
Ooh, that changes things. They're gonna say like drafted by the military. I'm like, somebody else will replace him.
Oh,
It's
no,
fine.
no.
Drafted by the military. I mean, no offense. They're like a dime a dozen. Uh, well, okay, I mean, we're talking like drafted by the NBA. I mean, there's like what 200 players like in the NBA.
I don't even know. That's an answer you
Well,
would know
I
better than
mean,
me.
there's what 15 players per roster, I believe.
It's that
I'm
little?
like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, I'm like 90%. Well, you only got 5 people in a court.
Hmm.
So I think you either have 12 to 15. I think it's something like that. I think it's 15, but I think like 2 of them are reserve pieces. So like, if William gets hurt, we could put LeBron in. That's not a fair trade, by the way. Uh, William's way better than LeBron. Uh,
You know
yeah,
what?
no.
I can say my pinky toe was actually better than LeBron's. If you haven't seen that, Google it. You won't sleep tonight.
Oh yeah, no. I don't. I don't want to see that then.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. In this hypothetical world where I'm not going to lose my license, my medical license, and nobody would ever find out. Oh yeah, I'm screwing that guy over for sure. Because like you said, notorious bad person. So.
All right. So everybody involved is good. All right. Are you going to give the doctor negative or positive for this one? All right. You have to decide, was this a good act? What you said of letting somebody go who's probably not going to, or you know what? Let's say they are probably going to make it, but they're already 95. What are they going to make it another, 10 years at the most extreme to save literally 4 people, none of them over 25?
Well, see, all of a sudden we're talking about essentially manslaughter, right? Because I mean, they're probably going to make it. That is murder at that point. And what are you doing to kill them? You know what I mean? Because yeah, they're 95. They're probably going to make it. So what you as a doctor are you doing to hypothetically? I don't want to say kill this person because they're not going to go, freaking Norman Bates him, or her. Well, you said dude in this situation, so him. Yeah, that's another question. What are you doing to kill the dude?
So what if you don't kill
That's
them?
a big
You
rip.
just don't provide penicillin that would save their life.
Oh, okay. I was like, because we've all gone to the doctor and they don't do shit to make you feel better. We've all been there. So I thought you were just going to be like, oh, just kind of let them see what happens. You don't provide penicillin. Um, I don't
Let's
know.
take it even further. All right, same situation. The doctor is just not intervening, and the person is comfortable. They have already accepted that they're gonna die. If you come in and tell them we can save you, it's gonna shock them. It's 4 people. One of them's pregnant.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, you saved the essentially 5 people.
This has now become the trolley problem, which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
So the idea is there's 5 people on this track, one person on this track, and you are flipping the switch. You can either take out one or five, and then the question becomes, well, what if that one person's your best friend or your wife? Is that worth saving five? Anyway, this modified version of the trolley problem. That doctor, positive or negative for saving those five.
I don't know. I mean, you're trading 1 for 5. I'm still going to go positive. They're doing their job. I mean, at the end of the day, they're still saving some people
Yeah,
because they're going to lose 5 people potentially, right? If little Wiggy over here, little Jimmy doesn't get a heart, he's going to die, and he's 12. And then little Gertrude needs a stomach because she was born like pooping through a bag, you know, so because her stomach doesn't process acids properly, you know. So like that's once again, it's another catch 22. All these really have been, but I mean, you're trading one person who's 95 has been a notorious bad person for 4 people and a pregnant woman, so essentially 5 people to continue to live. I mean, you got to save the 5 people. So I'm going to give the doctor positive points because, yeah, let that one person go, but that person was going to go anyway.
all right, what about put a twist on it? Same situation, except the 4 people have all been in jail or juvenile hall at one point.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. Like, what if this pregnant mom gives birth to like another Hitler? You know what I mean? You just don't know. You saved the baby, but it turned out to be baby Hitler 2 or 3.0.
Right. But do you blame the doctor then if that does to turn out
No,
to
I
be a
mean the
horrible
doctor didn't
person?
know.
Right.
The doctor didn't know.
So what do we say? Sacrificing essentially one good person for 4 wrongdoers and potentially a mystery on the fifth.
Ooh, tough one. That's an even tougher one. Because it's like, is one life more valuable or is 5 more valuable?
I don't know about you, but I think this is fun. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, no, I'm like, to me, these are all like rock and a hard place.
Yep. Yep. I think I picked the best possible answers to make you say, what the fuck am I supposed to say to that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I guess you still have to go with the 4 or 5 because there's also a chance that that baby's a good person
Interesting.
because
All
one
right.
person traded for 4 to 5.
All right. Last
And
thing.
also, some of the best people come out of prison. They are truly reformed. I mean, I'm sure if you and I really thought about it, we could probably think of some people who went to prison turned out to be good people.
Danny Trejo, the actor. I'm reading his
Uh,
book right now. I can't believe it. I highly recommend it. It's unbelievable.
well, like I said, I mean, there's some good people out there who, at one point in time, might have considered themselves bad people, or society might have, and now they're great people. And
Right.
that's the hope of prison, right? To reform someone. That's the hope. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it does.
Right. All right. So last thing, I promise will be the last question, and it's again just a
Okay,
twist. So
sure.
same kind of scenario, but we're taking you out of your god role. All right. This is you,
Oh,
Fernando the
I got
man.
demoted
Pretty big.
like a
Didn't even get
subway
down
manager
to
now.
Angel. So
Okay.
following your demotion. All right. Same situation. And let's say, it doesn't have to be somebody that is real, but like let's say it's one of your close loved ones who's very old. And you, for whatever reason, have to make the decision on not giving her the penicillin to save 4 or 5 people that you have no idea their life, they're good or bad.
I don't know because I know like if it's somebody I know, like let's really old. My grandmother's not really old. I mean, she's like in her 70s, which I mean, I'm 29, so that's really not that old. Um, Knowing her, she would be like, "Oh, give it to the 5 people." I've lived a full life. Um, so I think you talk over with the other person,
If
but
you're
like
not able to.
if I'm not able to, I don't
And it
know.
has to be made now. Right now, or Timmy's fucking appendix is going.
Yeah, those are the only like those are like the only loved ones I have, like both my grandparents, and then like my dad's dad. Like he's like in his 80s, and I knowing all three of them, they would say like give it to the five people. I know them for a fact. They would say give it to the five people. So I'm giving it to the five people.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, except if it becomes somebody younger, like if it's one of my kids, right? No, we can drop the bomb on a whole country to make sure my kids are right. That's how I view it. I think I'd say the same about even specific girlfriends. Maybe not all of them. Maybe some of them I'd put on the bomb, but for a large majority, right? Even now, I don't think I would. Even now, the worst relationship I had, I think I would still choose to save them if I could, compared to five strangers.
Well, maybe not one of their moms, but just just kidding, just kidding.
I'm gonna have to find a way to link that to her.
That's fair. You wouldn't be the only person ever to like say that about someone's like parent. Trust me.
All right, I think that's a pretty good stopping place for today. So that was just a little fun idea that I had. Well, I mean, I think it's fun, but I'm kind of morbid like that. But these hard hitting questions, I don't think anybody else really covers like that. And yeah, it's pretty dark, but that's where my brain is. When I'm laying in bed tonight, I'm gonna be thinking to myself, what what price would I put on Josh's life? I think about 17 apples from Sprouts. That's pretty fair trade.
17. Yeah, that's about right.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me in this first episode of my podcast, Fernando.
If you like Angels baseball, you can look us up, Halos of the Infield. But if not, I mean, just keep tuning into William's channel. He's got some funny videos on the horizon. I've gotten to see a couple of the rough edits.
So thank you again. You are our first guest. I'm sure you'll be a recurring guest. We'll have to let them vote and see if you're the best guest.
Well, by now I'm also the worst.
By default, I guess that's true.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching, and hopefully you'll join us for the next one.